2, Dever really says something very well. The Hebrew Bible is mute for you if you do not know Hebrew. That's what I've been saying, but he says it so much better than I do. The Hebrew Bible is mute for you if you do not know Hebrew. Or as I like to put it, archaeology is not mute, but some historians are deaf. He's referring to those historians who refuse to accept the archaeological implications of the discoveries showing that Yahweh had a wife, and so did his father El. Archaeology is not mute, but some historians are deaf. Artifacts are, of course, subject to interpretation no less than texts, but they are less biased and they have been less deliberately edited than texts, especially tendentious texts such as those of the Hebrew Bible. The fact is that we are about to experience an archaeological revolution in the study of ancient Israelite religion. Now, he said that in 2005. If you really want to pretend you understand the final say-so on what the biblical context for Israelite religion is, you go right ahead. But the world-class archaeologists and scholars are saying we are in for a complete change. Susan Ackerman said that. Now William G. Dever is saying that. The scholars are onto something here that the John Q. public apparently is unaware of. We are in the process of a revolution in the study of ancient Israelite religion, one that will render all previous histories obsolete. I want you to understand that. If they are not more alert to current trends in broad scholarship beyond their own disciplines, many biblical scholars will soon discover that the revolution has bypassed them. Now, there's a very powerful scholar. Do you really think that this refutes Mormonism? It's going to refute everything we thought we knew about the Bible. But that's what Joseph Smith said. What we understand about the Bible may very well be incorrect because it's a tampered with text. It's an incomplete text. That's the Mormon idea. Now, in his astonishing study, Frank Moore-Cross Jr., I want you to check in on your Bible programs in your universities also. See if this name doesn't ring a bell to that department. Frank Moore-Cross, Canaanite Myth and Hebrew Epic, Essays in the History of the Religion of Israel. Harvard University Press, 1997 is the 9th printing. It's gone through 9 printings. It's that important of a text. Now, the interesting thing, Susan Ackerman, Margaret Barker, who I'm going to get to, William G. Dever, Frank Moore-Cross Jr., Raphael Patai, these scholars that I'm reading to you. It would be one thing if it was biased Mormon scholars who were brain-dead bozos wishing to instill a bias into the study of the ancient Israelite religion because we want it to support our ideas. That'd be one thing. But these guys are all bona fide biblical scholars. Exactly like the LDS scholars are bona fide scholars, even though the critics don't give them proper credit. If I was quoting Mormon scholars to you, you would have that argument. These are not Mormon scholars. These are the cream of the crop biblical scholars. Can you possibly say all of these people who are studying for decades are also wrong? You can conclude that. But if you merely assert it to me, I don't recognize that authority. I want to see you refute it with the evidence. I want to see you quoting the scholars also. I expect you to. No Mickey Mousing around with the backyard professor. You want to debate this subject, you must show me you know your homework. You must quote the scholars to me. You give me access to see if you're using your scholars right. And I absolutely insist you check on mine so that you can see that I'm quoting my scholars right also. Deal? That's a fair debate tactic. Truly. All cards on the table. Here's who I'm using. Frank Moore Cross. I don't know how I can get better than this guy. I don't. I've tried. He's top dog. Not that that makes him completely right, but he's top dog. Well, anyway, in chapter 10, on page 274, the theme of the book of Kings and the structure of the Deuteronomistic history. He says, the contemporary discussion of the structure of the Deuteronomist history was initiated by a brilliant essay by Martin Noth. Yeah, let's see if Martin Noth is a recognized name also. I have some of his stuff too. Noth radically revised literary critical studies which asserted that the books of the former prophets, namely Joshua, Judges, Samuel, and Kings, grew into their present shape out of sources combined in a series of redactions. He viewed the whole, that is, all of the books, Joshua through Kings, as a single historical work, created by a highly original author during the exile, about 550 BC. Diverse sources, sometimes rewritten, here's the theme again, in the peculiar Deuteronomistic rhetoric, sometimes not. These were selected and informed by a framework into a unity expressing the theological and historical slant of the editor. Are you getting this? The Bible is not straightforward, unbiased, objective history. It is also written with an agenda. An older form of Deuteronomy, are you getting this? What we have in our Bible is not the original, but it has been supplied with a new Deuteronomistic introduction and conclusion. This was prefixed to the historical work proper, together forming a great Deuteronomistic block of tradition. This work stands over against the Pentateuch, Genesis through Numbers, or what is more appropriately called the priestly work. The Bible has been rewritten, and I have some astonishing materials by Margaret Barker I'm just dying to get to you. So let's move on to Margaret Barker, another name who has become very prominent in the biblical arena. Now, Margaret Barker's book, The Revelation of Jesus Christ, it's about the book of Revelation in the New Testament. It's by T.N.T. Clark for the year 2000. On page 109, she notes some interesting things. She says this, she says, the Lord is its name. She's speaking of the city that's spoken of. The name of the city henceforth shall be forever. The Lord is there. This is in the book of Revelation. But the seer of Revelation read the same Hebrew letters as the Lord is its name. Literally, her name, because city is a feminine noun. A Qumran psalm is similar. Jerusalem, the name of the Lord is called on her. That's 4Q380, the fragment. Thus the Lord, the heavenly Jesus, and the heavenly city all have the same name. And this would be given to the faithful bishop of Jerusalem, this same name. Now this is an interesting development. Rabbi Yohanan ben Zakkai, a contemporary of the first Christians, taught that there were three who were called by the name: the righteous, the Messiah, and Jerusalem. Of Ezekiel 48:35, he said this, do not read there, but read its name. As to the name of the city, from that day it shall be called the Lord. Compare Daniel 9:19. In the early years of the 2nd century of the Common Era, the early Christian father Ignatius, the old bishop of Antioch, passed through Asia on his way to martyrdom in Rome. He wrote letters to the churches of Asia, and he described the bishopric and the clergy as though they were the high priest and the priests of the temple. This is interesting how he had that imagery in mind. The bishop was God, and the clergy were his heavenly council.